Shri G. Krishan Reddy, Honorable Minister of Tourism and Culture, Shri Amitabh Kanti, G20 Sherpa, Shri Parmeshwaran Ji, Iyer Ji, CEO Niti Yog, delegates from different states, friends on the dais, and my friends from media. Good morning, namaskar. My greetings and welcome to all the participants of this Startup 20 Inception meeting. It's my pleasure to be here today with all of you at the Inception meeting of Startup 20 and engagement group under G20. The G20, as you all know, is one of the most important economic forums in the world today. And this year, in 2023, India has the presidency of the G20, and in the words of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, we will make sure this presidency is inclusive, ambitious, decisive, and action-oriented. Startups have emerged as key driving economic growth and job creation, and often catalysts for radical innovation. In today's rapidly changing global environment, startups can quickly add to new market conditions. This has led to the evolution of global startup ecosystem where entrepreneurs all over the world can access funding, resources, and support to turn their ideas into successful businesses. The recent geopolitical transformations, learnings from pandemic and economic headwinds are the opportunity for businesses, especially the startups. During the COVID-19 pandemic crisis, startups have continued to play a critical role for economies. Large number of innovative firms have reacted fast and flexible to the pandemic and have been critical in helping many countries shift towards fully digital work education. The startup ecosystem is becoming increasingly globalized. With the advent of technology, it is easier than ever for startups to reach customers around the world. This has led to the emergence of global startups which have disrupted traditional industries and have become household names in the countries around the world. India formally started its journey of startups with the inauguration by the Shri Narendra Modi ji, Prime Minister of India in 2016. Today, we have more than 88,000 recognized startups with about 80 entries getting recognized in startups every day. India has the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. We can at least one recognized startup in every single state and union territory of the country. It is spread in Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities. It is spread across more than 66 districts, which is 80% districts of the country. Also around 47% of the recognized startups have at least one woman director. Our startups are also playing an important role in job creation and have reported to have created more than 90 lakh direct jobs The spread and impact of startups across the country has been immense. Our Honorable Prime Minister said that golden era for startups in India has begun. He further said that startups should expand beyond the nation's boundaries and think global, which become the foundation for us to be thinking upon introduction a startup ecosystem focused engagement group under India G20 presidency. India has completed 75 years of independence in 2022, and the next 25 years, when India will celebrate 100 years of independence in 2047, are the Amrit Kal of an auspicious period where will strive towards achieving a rapid but inclusive sustainable economic growth by creating millions of jobs, improving our quality of living by introduction innovations to number of everyday things we do, creating wealth for our economies. Our startup ecosystem has shown to the world its potential to be a major economic driver. Therefore, there cannot be a better time and a better forum to deliberate on collaborative measures for expansion of the startup ecosystem worldwide. I call upon you all to collaborate on this unique platform and create pathways, facilitate mechanism and debate on key topics to orchestrate golden age of startups. I wish you all the best for the inception meeting and for the success of Startup 22. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. We will next hear from Shri G. Kishan Reddy ji. He is the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Development of the Northeastern region. I just want to underscore that the Northeastern region is where our next meeting in March is also going to be. Welcome to you, sir.
Sri Dr. Chintan Vaishnavji, Chairman of Sherpa, our dynamic Sri Amitabh Kanji, and Secretary Anurag Jainji, CEO Niti Aayog Sri Parmeshwaran ANG, Government of Telangana Principal Secretary Sri J.S. Ranjanji, JS DP IIT Shruti Singhji, and all the other dignitaries on the dais, esteemed delegates from the G20 nations, respected special invitees from the observer countries, representatives from various multilateral organizations, members of the global and Indian startup ecosystem, officers of the different ministries, Government of India and Government of Telangana, media friends, all the brothers and sisters. Just now, Mr. Anil Jainji he spoken on opening remarks that the spirit of Atithi Devo Bhava, an ancient Indian saying from our millennia old text that exhausts one of the treat the guest as a divine. I would like to welcome you all to Hyderabad. Hyderabad is my birthplace, and also I am elected representative from this great city to my Indian Parliament. It is an honor to be here, you all at the inception meeting of the G20 Startup Engagement Group. India is proud to host the G20 that will be seeing. Friends, since ancient times, we share our ideas and knowledge systems freely to the world. Even today, across the world's many cultural and geographical divides, India's influences in the fields of mathematics, science, engineering, all documented and acknowledged globally. Therefore, the theme of G20 chosen for the India's presidency, that is One Earth, One Family, One Future. It is inspired from our ancient philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbam, the world is one family. True to its theme, this G20 under India's presidency aims to set the course for acting responsibility, aiming for joint cooperation, achieving the sharing our successes. Friends, India is the ideal location for today's startup engagement group meeting. Today, India has a third highest number of unicorns, third highest number of the startups. Matter of the time before, India leads to this list. Through these startups, our youth want to become a job creators instead of being a job holders. Indian startups are innovating with the groundbreaking, with the new ideas, investing their time and energies in transforming the future, discovering new products and experiences. The success of Indian startups symbolizes the passion of our youth and our entrepreneurship. Progress made by India as a nation in the last 75 years and the priority of the government in encouraging and handholding startups with our large talent pool and our democratic dividend. India is an ideal investment location. Friends, in the last few years, we have witnessed several disturbances, including a once-in-a-century COVID-19 president's pandemic, a conflict that leading to political and economical turbulence. Countries in the neighborhood are facing turmoil and financial stress. However, India has been in a oasis of calm in the ocean of churn. India has been able to provide a predictable and stable regulatory environment, low political business risk. Our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji leadership, we are moving forward in all sectors. As a result, foreign direct investments into India have increased 20-fold in last 20 years. The government has also ensured startup policies that will create an enabling environment. The government's Funds for Startups scheme was established in India. This has approximately $billion of investments in India. The government Startup India Seed and Scheme Startups has approved $60 million or 455 crores for 126 incubators. As a result of the efforts of India, individual improved 41 places in a short plan of time in 7 years, Global Innovation Index. Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji vision for an aspirational India is truly inspirational. As we celebrate 75 years of India independence celebrations through Azad Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we are laying the foundation for India 2047, when coming 25 years, India celebrates our 100 years of independence. We believe startups will drive India's GDP growth in the next 20 years. India has a potential to emerge as the third largest economy, and innovation will be one of our levers. Startup will play a key role in leveraging the 4 Ds that India is offering: a vibrant democracy, development for all with a Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, or Sabka Prayas. This is our Prime Minister mantra. Third one, digital public infrastructure such as a Atmanirbhar and Aadhaar, UPI, that we build at a population scale. Other one is decarbonization, opportunities in green hydrogen and renewable energy. India is poised to become a fintech destination hub. India innovation, especially in edutech, clean tech and agri-tech, will have a profound impact on global markets, lead to larger demand and utilization in domestic markets. Friends, as a Minister of Tourism and Culture, I invite you to explore these great destinations during your stay. After this 2 days conference, I request all the delegates to visit different destinations in India with the 40 plus UNESCO World Heritage Sites in India. Is a home of rich living cultural heritage that is many millennia old and includes monuments, temples, palaces, ports, unique wildlife, blue flag beaches, rich riverine and lake ecosystems, spiritual heritage, festivals, classical and folk dances, musical traditions, various art craft forms that includes textile and handlooms, handicrafts, languages and literary traditions in India. Friends, I would also invite startups to help as they find innovative solutions and new ideas in preserving our rich cultural heritage, using new technologies such as artificial intelligence, virtual reality and augmented reality in providing a holistic experience to tourists. I wish to all a warm present stay in India, and I am confident that you will enjoy your stay and return over and over again with family and friends. Thank you very much. Once again, I invite the India and Hyderabad for this prestigious G20 startup meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I wanted to underscore one more interesting fact here. Sir is the Minister of Tourism, Culture, and in the Indian context, I mentioned earlier several parts of the governments that are pushing our ecosystem forward. And in some ways, our collective, the phrase that captures our collective work is the promotion, promotion and nurturing of the culture of innovation and entrepreneurship, because it's very clear that unless there is a culture created, the outcomes that one is hoping for will not be there. This meeting is coming closer to an end, but it would be incomplete without listening from our Minister for Commerce and Industry, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Textile, Shri Piyush Goyal. Mr. Goyal has really been extremely active in connecting with every part of the ecosystem and has played a pivotal role in creating programs that ushers innovation into various industry sectors of our nation. He will be speaking to us via video. Can we have his video, please?
Good morning. My colleague ministers from the Union Council of Ministers, Shri Amitabh Khan, the G20 Sherpa, CEO Niti Aayog, the Chair of G20, Dr. Vaishnav, all the distinguished participants of this very important Startup 20 Inception meeting, friends on the media, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very warm welcome to all of you to incredible India, to the beautiful city of Hyderabad. As the host nation, India is proud to highlight the progress and potential of the global startup ecosystem. The Startup 20 Group has been established under our presidency for the very first time as part of our special focus on innovation. India has now entered the Amrit Kaal. The 25 years till we celebrate our centenary in 2047. During this period, we believe innovation will be the strongest pillar to help us make India a developed nation, a prosperous nation. In the next 25 years, as Prime Minister Modi has envisioned, we believe the country will be growing from strength to strength, will be expanding the frontiers of knowledge of our young minds, and innovation will become the catalytic force for the economy and for social and public good. Innovation in today's world goes beyond economic activities. I think environment, sustainability, and inclusive growth are increasingly becoming more and more relevant. Innovation certainly implies novelty, but it is also rooted in tradition for us in India. Ancient scientific knowledge, our Vedas, our traditional medicine, are a testament to the innovative spirit that has existed in India since times immemorial. We began our startup journey way back in 2016 when the Startup India initiative was launched by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. Since then, it has been a 7-year journey helping foster entrepreneurship and promoting newer and newer ideas, helping this ecosystem grow so that our startups in different areas, be it energy, be it financial inclusion, where fintech played a very important role, be it our fight against the pandemic during COVID-19, where remote healthcare and food delivery became very important, be it our effort on education, where online learning is today becoming very natural, be it our work in agri-tech, all of these put together have helped us face many challenges. Today, while the world is facing a multitude of difficulties, from climate change to poverty to inequality, I strongly believe that innovation will help us solve these problems, will help us work together to find solutions through the creativity and ingenuity of our entrepreneurs, taking on these challenges head on. In India, we have used digital public goods like CoWIN, like the United Payment Interface, UPI, ONDC, which is going to help us democratize e-commerce. All of these, for us, are a means to tackle the problems and help inclusive growth. With over 500 million internet users in India today, we are one of the fastest growing markets for the digital world. We have huge participation from tier 2 and 3 cities who are swiftly embracing digital technologies, pushing the envelope, helping startups in remoter parts of India succeed with new ideas. I am confident going forward that India will provide the way to really take newer and newer initiatives to the common man so that our India stack, which we have offered, can going forward become a global stack and transform the way people use technology, will help transform economies from just using their base as an outsourced software and support service base to becoming a technology and innovation hub, particularly for the developing nations. Ladies and gentlemen, India is focused on innovation and in ease of doing business, which has helped us climb 41 ranks in the Global Innovation Index from 81 to 40th rank in just 7 years. We are nurturing the innovation spirit right from the school level through our Atal Innovation Mission. We have created tinkering labs as a workplace where our young minds can give shape to their ideas through to the can-do attitude that they demonstrate when they are experimenting with their ideas. We have very active programs to support startups with many other nations around the world, like the US, Australia, UK. We are working together to explore deep tech startups and their growth to contribute to the circular economy and address needs of energy, healthcare, water, agriculture, education, financial inclusion, and the like. Today, individual nations alone will not be able to change the world. If we want to address global challenges, it will have to be the collective responsibility of all nations. And therefore, this proposal to encourage a global effort to help incubate the startup ecosystem in other parts of the world, making them more inclusive, supportive, and sustainable. I am confident that the G20 will promote universal sense of oneness as per our theme, one earth, one family, one future. We need to create a network of such startups, and for that, we need mentors, investors, entrepreneurs who can support and inspire one another, who can work as a team, facilitate exchange of ideas, best practices, and funding mechanisms to promote collaborations and encourage research and development. Friends, I was trying to look up what could explain what the startup ecosystem and what Startup 20 is going to reflect. And I thought we could use the word sense. S for share, E for explore, N for nurture, S for serve, and E for empower. And that is the sense I get when I see the enthusiasm in the room all around us. I get the sense of the changing mindset. I get the sense of urgency that we all have. I get the sense that Startup 20 and the group before me is going to become a very powerful tool, a very powerful body which will change the way the world recognizes and respects startups. As the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi had said, and I quote, "A small group of determined and like-minded people can change the course of history." I am confident that the discussions over the next 2 days will lay the foundation for a strong action agenda for the G20 leaders to deliberate and start a global startup revolution. Thank you very much for your participation, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope the 2-day deliberations will be very, very fruitful, engaging, outcome-oriented, and come up with new ideas which will help us truly make a difference to the future of startups across the world. Thank you very much. Namaste. All the very best.
You can understand why our young entrepreneurs love him. As we bring this session to a close, I'd like to invite my colleague, Joint Secretary Ms. Shruti Singh, for her closing remarks. But as she comes up, I want to tell you 2 things. Well, the first is that it was, of course, obligatory for us to give you the India backdrop and the collective consciousness of India as it stands when it comes to the startup ecosystem, or the collective sense of India as it stands. And you've heard from all of our various levels of our governments and the other private sector leaders who are also on the dais you will hear from after the tea break. I also want to note note one more pivot that you will experience as we come back from the tea break. These sessions will get far more generative, bi-directional, and by the time we end of you pitching in your ideas. So that's
we talk about the world of innovation and entrepreneurship, there is one line of thought or one school of thought that government has very limited role in it. We should ideally keep the government away from these sectors. But in Telangana, in Hyderabad, we have been able to very successfully establish a different narrative. That of course the government need not do any micromanagement, any over-regulation, but we have potentially a very important role in catalyzing this innovation and entrepreneurial world. And as I said, in the afternoon, I'll directly get a chance to explain more to you. And when you see some of the initiatives that you have taken, the belief that governments do have a very strong role and responsibility in promoting innovation and entrepreneurship, that belief will get reaffirmed. So once again, a very warm welcome to all of you on behalf of our government of Telangana. Hope you have very productive sessions. Hope you also have a very enjoyable stay in the historic city of Hyderabad. This is a very ancient city, more than 450 years old. And at this time of the year, this has the most pleasant weather anywhere in the country. The city and state is also known for its delectable cuisine, its art and cultural forms. And over the next 2 days, I'm sure you'll get a very good exposure to what Hyderabad, the city of pearls, has to offer. And I'll be very happy if you choose to come back later and visit us in a more detailed way, both in your professional capacity and also for vacations, holidays, etc. So warm welcome once again. Thank you very much. True to the spirit of startups, let me propose a little bit of a pivot here. Everyone's name whom I called, if you go to the other podium, and I'm sorry, Jayesh, for not saying this earlier, your photos will be much better because there's a very nice sign in front of it. So, also, let me also say that on the dais, as I said, you see both the public, the government and the private sector represented. In the first hour, we will only hear from the government leaders, but as the day continues, we will hear from other people as well, and I will introduce them as they come up to speak, so don't be nervous. Let's now invite Mr. Anurag Jain, Secretary, Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, DPIIT. This is one of the acronyms you need to know because you may hear it while you are here. DPIIT is one of the pillars of the startup ecosystem of India. And it's a great honor to have Secretary Sir speak to welcome us.
Thank you, Chintanji. Honorable Minister Kishan Reddy ji, Honorable MOS Somprakash ji, he is actually our minister. Param Iyer sir, Amitabh Kant sir, he is a G20 Sherpa of India. Param Iyer sir is CEO Niti. So anyway, Chintan will do the introductions later. Dignitaries on the dais, delegates, friends. As he has introduced, I am Secretary DPIIT, so it's my pleasant duty to welcome you to India. India is a very rich and ancient historical country. It has varied traditions, cultures and heritage. Telangana is one of the 36 constituent states and UTs, so you got a glimpse of what it is from Jayesh. We are actually a mega diverse country in terms of biodiversity, and it's a birthplace of 4 major religions of the world. So this is what India is. Hyderabad, as Jayesh mentioned about Hyderabad, I'll just add one line to that. By UNESCO, it has been declared as a creative city of gastronomy. And I hope you enjoy the gastronomy of this place. So here you are. Apart from that, we have a very rich ecosystem of startups in the country. We have something known as district, which is the lowest administrative unit. So the whole country has about 765 districts. In more than 650 districts, we have got registered startups. It has become that wide movement. It has become an inclusive movement. 50% of the startups have women on the board. They were initiated by one of the women at least. So that is a very rich and varied startup system. And when we talk about the important ecosystems in the country, the top 4-5 names which come up, Hyderabad is one of them. And the Tea Hub is a really vibrant place where you must go and visit, where a visit has been scheduled in the afternoon. India has taken over the presidency of G20 in very challenging times, when the world is suffering from the after effects of once in a century or once in a lifetime kind of pandemic. We have conflicts in the world which are driving crisis of fuel and energy and fertilizers. There are economic uncertainties. In these challenging times, India has taken over the presidency. So therefore, what we have chosen, our theme is Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. That is an ancient Indian philosophy, which basically means the world is one family. So we have translated in English the philosophy, or the for G20 we say one earth, one family, one future. So we understand that all of us will come together, will have deliberations in a manner that as if we are one family, and work for the common future of the earth. As Chintan has already brought it out, that a Startup 20 is a new engagement group. And he also talked about ambidexterity of G20, which is B20 and Startup 20. And as DPIT department, we actually coordinate both the groups. So we provide that link between B20 and Startup 20. In India, when we look at ourselves, why did we propose this? We believe that next 2 to 3 decades, given the structural reforms which have happened in the country, the policies which we have put in place, the demographic dividend, and the talented youth of the country, India is going to remain one of the fastest growing large economies for the next 3 decades. And when we look at it, we understand that startups is very crucial to driving this growth for the next 2 to 3 decades. Startups provide all the solutions related to knowledge, innovation, and sustainability. In India's development agenda, we have actually leapfrogged and mainstream sustainability into our development agenda, and we find very innovative solutions coming from startups all over the place. And that is the reason why we propose a new engagement group. And I am extremely grateful to all the colleagues from all the countries, who are almost 30 countries are represented here. And all of you actually agreed. And as we all know that G20 goes with the consensus. Since all of you agreed, we were able to constitute this group, and I am sure through the deliberations we'll be able to create a collaborative framework which will provide solutions to the global problems in coming days. India started the ecosystem startup initiative in 2016. It's just a 7-year-old story. Not that startups were not there before that, but officially we took an initiative like what Jayesh has brought in. We brought in a facilitative environment. We have a Prime Minister who has a mass appeal. So he launched the startup initiative. What it has done is, number one, it has changed the mindset of the local population, the local youth. As an administrator who has spent more than 30 years in government, I know before that we would come across huge set of people who would be asking and lining up for the jobs. A bright young fellow coming out of IITs and IIMs, the institution of global repute, he would also be looking for a job in a multi-corporate world or going to these top companies and contributing to the growth and success of those companies. Now the mindset has completely changed. Most of the top students who come out, they want to set up their own venture. They want to find out innovative solutions. They want to contribute to the solutions of the global problems. That is a change in mindset which has taken place. So as a result, in just a matter of 7 years, from just about 450 odd startups, the startup ecosystem in India has become, it is now 88,000 registered startups. We have got more than 100 unicorns. That's why now the world tells us that India has become the third largest startup ecosystem in a short frame of time. And more importantly, the rate of growth is faster than the top 2 countries which are above us. Like number of unicorns being added, we are number 2. And in terms of new startups getting registered, we are number 1. So the point is, how did this happen? We'll share our experience. I'm sure my colleagues will be doing that. But we should all, in a collaborative framework, listen to each of the country, understand from each other. We have got some issue notes made with Chintan, who is a chairperson. He himself is a very great, he's a great driver. He started the whole concept of incubators and tinkering labs being set up from the government side. He heads that group. And Government of India came up with a lot of facilitative environment where we give tax breaks, we give breaks to angel investments, we give a lot of other kinds of support, seed funds. We have set up some seed funds, we have set up some fund of funds. And then the whole ecosystem started growing around this, which was already there in the nascent stage, but got a huge flip through this. We'll share it in detail when opportunity arises. I wish all the success to this new group to come out with a collaborative framework, laying the foundations of the collaborative framework, which we'll discuss through the year, and come out with a system which will take the global startup ecosystem forward. And let us all celebrate this historic day because the new engagement group is being set up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. On a personal note, I must say that Secretary Jain is one person I know in the government who has always said that anything startup, count me in. So we'll next hear from Mr. Parmeshwaran Iyer. For the many of you from abroad, he goes by Param. He's the CEO of NITI Aayog, Government of India's central think tank. NITI, another acronym that you may hear. It stands for the National Institution for Transforming India and is a clever acronym that in Hindi means policy but also means righteousness. So this body is working to expand the innovation ecosystem of our nation for it to become more inclusive, more capable, and more sophisticated. Mr. Iyer.
Thank you, Chintan. Honorable Minister, Cabinet Minister, Minister of State, my predecessor in NITI Aayog, fortunately Amitabh the Sherpa is here as well, and Anurag, dignitaries on the dais, distinguished participants. It's a great pleasure to be here in the right spot, Chintan, for the photo op as well. And just to add, not much to add to what Chintan and Anurag have spoken about the ecosystem for startups in India, but also in Hyderabad, which Jayesh spoke about. This is one of the most sort of happening startup places in India, if you like, Hyderabad and its vicinity. So it's great to be here. It's the perfect context and atmosphere for discussing the scale-up of startups in India. Anything, by the way, I miss out, Amitabh is going to fill in. He's been running NITI for 7 years. All the great work NITI has done in startups, innovation, technology, he will let you know in case I miss out anything. So I'm counting on Amitabh for that. We have said a lot about the sort of national ecosystem for startups. And there are some big numbers here, which Chintan was telling me over breakfast. So we have, I think, close to 90,000 startups in India with, 60, 70 startups starting every day. So it's a phenomenal explosion of startups, and everywhere you go, you meet youngsters who have, started startups in diverse fields: biotechnology, agriculture, healthcare, solid waste, everything, employment. So it's really exploding. So it's a pleasure to be here today at this first meeting of Startup 20 to really put this engagement group to get it started. Now, Chintan spoke about the contribution of India and the logo of zero, which was India's contribution. So innovation has really been at the heart of Indian civilization and culture. And, this has grown, and in recent years, over the last 8 or 9 years, there's been an explosion, pretty much led by the vision of the Prime Minister, who's really driven this agenda and created a system for India to really take off. So during our G20 presidency, this is a perfect opportunity to put the story of Startup India on the global map. And I think this is the beginning of that, but it will continue during the G20 presidency. Now, of course, the growth of the internet, the digital story, goes side by side with the startup story. And, to again throw out some big numbers that Anurag started doing, we have, 1.2 billion mobile users. We have more than 800 million internet and data users. So that's pretty much been the backbone of everything we've done on digital, but also the startup story has built upon that. And so startups now, and in particular, the work done by Niti Aayog, which Chintan spoke about, which is India's, the former planning commission, which is now focused on development strategy. Niti Aayog focuses on 2 or 3 broad areas. We have the national think tank and everything that goes with it, the disruption, the technology, driving the digital revolution, all the work Amitabh and team led on electric vehicles, climate. So these are sort of frontier areas which Niti Aayog takes forward. We have a team, a lot of them are here today. The Atal Innovation Mission, I'll talk a little bit about that, is basically Chintan heads that, and he and his team have been organizing this with the support of Anurag and his team. So again, in terms of, that's the primary role, we are the national think tank, but we're also, equally importantly, an instrument for enhancing government effectiveness, both at the center and the states. So our role is to really work with, support, facilitate, and improve the effectiveness of central governments, but equally importantly, perhaps even more so, the states. As you know, India is a very large federal state with a key role for the center, the states, and the local, and right down to the village level. So it's this diverse group of states which really makes up the strength of India. It's unity in diversity. And in our federal system, every state plays a very, very important role, such as Telangana, the youngest state in India, which Jayesh told you about. So NITI works with the states, and we've started a state support mission where promoting, an ecosystem for startups, supporting states. Telangana, of course, is at a very advanced stage, but there are other states which require a little more support. So Chintan and team and the rest of NITI, we are working with states to help them strengthen their own vision towards an inclusive growth for India. What is their GDP goal? How can it be inclusive? What are those drivers of growth? So NITI Aayog and all in a kind of whole of government approach supports the states in doing that. But let me tell you a little bit about the Atal Innovation Mission. I'm sure you'll hear about it over the course of the next couple of days from Chintan and team. But this is essentially driven by the PM's vision of research. He spoke about Jai Anusandhan, which means, long live, we need to promote research. And so under that, the Atal Innovation Mission, AIM, another acronym for you to sort of chew over, which is headed by Chintan, is essentially, it's a flagship program under the Niti Aayog, and which is really nurturing the culture of entrepreneurship and innovation at all levels. And while Anurag spoke about how today, and Anjali Bansal, who is one of our leading investors in startups, was telling us yesterday at our NITI annual sort of monthly lecture series, today young IIT grads are not typically going abroad to the US typically. They're going into the startup world. But what Chintan and team are doing is to really take this culture down to tier 2 and tier 3 cities as well. So it's not just the IIT grads who are coming out with startups. It's people all the way down tier 2, tier 3 cities. So the startup culture is really starting to penetrate Bharat, the whole of India. And I think that would be a very important topic of discussion, hopefully for all of you in the next couple of days. So Atal Innovation Mission has set up a couple of things which have been really important in triggering the spirit of startups, entrepreneurship and innovation in India. At a school level, we have set up the tinkering labs. So more than 10,000 Atal tinkering labs have been set up in schools across India, and which has really promoted the spirit and encouraged and sort of facilitated and brought out that spirit of innovation which was always there, but it's facilitated it at the school level. And now the plan is to scale that up in the second phase across India. And then we have got 69 incubation centers which have been across the countries. Again, many of them in Telangana and other states. And then we've got community innovation centers. So it's a sort of a system of pushing innovation, entrepreneurship across the board in India. And over its last 5 years, it made a very big difference. And many of you would be associated or you have your own innovation and incubation centers. So under this, I'm happy to share that under the Atal Innovation Mission, the team has been able to support more than 2,900 startups, of which more than 850 are women-led. It's created more than 30,000 direct jobs and impacted more than 7.5 million students. So it's been an excellent start, and now the plan is to take this to scale. I wanted to touch upon one more point which I'm sure will come up for discussion, which is how in the space of innovation, digitalization, the India Stack program has really provided the backbone for phenomenal mushrooming of initiatives and startups. So what is the India Stack? There's been a lot of discussion about it. At its simplest level, it's facilitated the coming together of data, identity, and payment. And, we'll hear more about how UPI has done phenomenal payments, digital payments. India is leading the world. But if you look at India Stack, at its core, it's done 4 things. It's enabled India to pretty much go paperless, cashless, in a sense, presence-less, and the ability to give your consent through Aadhaar, which is our digital identity program. So this is in many ways revolutionized many things, whether it's farmers seeking loans, whether it's setting up a business, just avoiding contact with government, with people in government, with the bureaucracy. I think it's made a very, very big difference. And in the G20 presidency, which Amitabh as a Sherpa in many ways is leading this program, building on the work he's done in Niti Aayog, it's really, in many ways, India's experience can really be shared with the rest of the world. There are a lot of lessons we can learn, but there are a lot of lessons we can share. Because there are still 4 billion people in the world without a digital identity. There are still 2 billion people in the world without access to, who don't have a bank account. And I think more than 120 countries which still deal in cash. So this phenomenal explosion in India of digital payments in the last 4 or 5 years has really transformed. It's taken industry to another level. It's helped medium and small scale industries. It's created jobs. So it's made a very big difference. And I'm sure over the next couple of days, you'll hear much more about how India Stack has also helped the startup sector and industry. So there's an opportunity here to share experiences from India. And in the G20 presidency, I think the whole digital economy and data-led development story will figure very prominently as one of the 6 or 7 major issues which would be put on the table and will figure in the final communique. So let me just, again, welcome you all on behalf of Niti Aayog to India, of course to Hyderabad. You heard from Jayesh, and hopefully you will sample the delicious cuisine from Hyderabad, when you're here. But I understand there's going to be a dinner this evening which will feature some of the culinary delights from Hyderabad. But I'd like to again congratulate all of you, people here from abroad, from neighboring countries, but from around the world, for making the trip to India and to Hyderabad. And if any of you are passing by Delhi, please feel free to drop by Niti Aayog. We are in the heart of Delhi, and come and talk to us, share your experiences. We'll be very happy with our team to share ours with you. So once again, welcome, and hope you have very fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So you've just heard from two parts of our government. The CEO mentioned the phrase, the whole of government. So, and while you heard about Atal Innovation Mission as one of the slivers of our ecosystem, as you interact with people here, you will realize that, and I want to assure you that India's innovation ecosystem rests on the shoulders of many giants. This includes a phrase that hasn't come up yet, but you will hear also Startup India, which is doing all the registration, taxation, a lot of the startup policy, ease of doing startup type of thing. But also various other parts of the government that are pushing the ecosystem in their own domain, including the scientific ministries, and let me throw some more acronyms at you: Department of Science and Technology, DST, Department of Biotechnology, DBT, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MeitY, you may hear these terms, the Defense Ministry with its platform called IDEX, the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor. All of these put together are really, if I were to use a metaphor, are the unicorns that are the unicorns pulling the chariot of the Indian ecosystem from the government side. You will meet all of these people who've been gracious to take out time to join us and attend. And on that note, I must also say that we were joined, as while CEO was speaking, by one more unicorn on the dais, Vijay Shekhar Sharma. And you will hear from him also at a later point. Well, next, let us hear from the person whose immaculate execution on the ground has turned many of India's dreams into a reality, be it Incredible India, Make in India, Startup India. This is the person who is now the Sherpa of India's G20 presidency, Mr. Amitabh Kant.
Honorable Ministers, Mr. Kishan Reddy and Mr. Som Prakash, my distinguished colleagues, Mr. Param Iyer and Mr. Anurag Jain, all the distinguished guests on the dais, startups, investors, innovators, technical experts who've come from different parts of the world, ladies and gentlemen, truly delighted to welcome all of you to India and to this very fascinating city of Hyderabad. Ladies and gentlemen, as we sit here today and as India hosts the G20, the world is going through several crises. It's going through a crisis of global slowdown. Almost 1/3 of the world, as the IMF chief has said, is suffering from recession. Almost 200 people have gone below the poverty line on account of COVID. 100 million people have lost their jobs. There's a crisis of climate action, climate finance. There's a huge crisis of global debt. 75 countries are suffering from a global debt crisis. And there's a challenge of geopolitics in Europe with the Russia-Ukraine war, which has led to issues of fuel, food, fertilizer, many challenges. But every crisis is an opportunity. And I think in the midst of crisis, the biggest challenge is to do technological disruption and to do innovation.
And this is the Startup Engagement Group is India's innovation to the G20 movement. It's the first engagement group which drives technology innovation and the startup movement. And this is born out of India's conviction that the world needs more and more of technology, the world needs more disruption, the world needs young entrepreneur, and to drive the world out of the present recessionary trend, you need a range of young entrepreneurs in a vast range of new areas of growth to be able to accelerate the pace of inclusive, resilient, and sustainable growth. So, ladies and gentlemen, our belief is that the world will not be able to progress without startups. Our belief is that the world requires much more technology to accelerate the pace of growth, and our belief is that you need constant technological disruption, which has to be the heart of growth and progress of humankind. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, our own experience when we started the Startup India movement in 2016, January, which was launched by our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, there were just 456 startups. Today, there are close to about 90,000 startups in India, attracting over $350 billion. We have over about 110 unicorns, and our pace of getting unicorns in India is about 3.5 to 4 years compared to about 5.5 years in Silicon Valley. Our belief is that in India, we've used digital technology to leapfrog. When I was an officer in Kerala 2 decades back, opening a bank account for traditional fishermen, my job was to transform the lives of traditional fishermen. We were able to give them outboard motors, we were able to give them new fishing crafts, we were able to give them new fishing nets, but they were prone to drinking. And therefore, it was very important to open their bank accounts and put money into their bank accounts. Opening a bank account then used to take us 8 to 9 months. It was a nightmare doing know your customers. Today in India, we open a bank account in less than a minute using our biometric. So I've seen this transformation from 9 months to 1 minute, and I've seen India doing today. I've not used my bank account, I have not been to a physical bank, I have not used my debit credit card, I have not used my ATM machine for the last 4 years. My mobile is my bank, my mobile is my debit credit card, I do all my transactions from here, and what we've done is that in the last 4 years, we've reached the stage where we do about 12x of what Europe and United States of America do in terms of fast payments. We do over 4x of what China does. This is because we've been able to build digital identity, we've been able to link them to bank accounts, and between 2015 and 2018, 55% of the bank accounts opened across the world were opened in India, and each one of them were linked digitally, and every Indian having a mobile does digital transactions. So everyone in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, rural areas, everybody does digital transactions. But the real story of India is that our startups have been able to get into new areas of growth, whether it's learning outcomes, whether it's health outcomes, and as we opened up the space area, the last 6 months has seen a booming of new startups in the space area, where we've seen startups doing manufacturing of engines, of rockets, of satellites, or doing drones, and we've seen a massive amount of disruption. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we are going to witness today is an exchange of ideas between startups and innovators and investors from across the world. As startups grow and mature, there will be several challenges. Today, there's a challenge of finance. Tomorrow, there will be a challenge of corporate governance, which will be very critical, because when young people drive startups with passion and energy, they forget about corporate governance, but that's a key. And the third is an issue of how do we learn from each other, how do we experience and benefit from the experiences of Silicon Valley, of China, of Europe, all these countries, of different models which have existed across the world. There's a big tech model of the USA, there's a GDPR model of the Europe, in India we've created platforms, public platforms on which we've allowed private sector to innovate and constantly disrupt. And India is the only country where PhonePe competes with Google Pay, where Paytm competes with WhatsApp in the marketplace. Each one of them is competing in the marketplace. So on payment today, you have over about 45 different apps on which you can make your payments. So that is the structure that the digital public platform has been built across areas where we've allowed private sector to do more and more of innovation. So there are huge learnings from across the world. But the key challenge is that the startups are today solving problems of education, of health, of agriculture productivity. And as we solve these problems of 1.4 billion people of India, we are not solving problems for India alone, but the startups are finding solutions for many of the challenges of the world. They're finding solutions for the next 4 to 5 billion people who are moving from poverty to middle class in the next decade or so. And that is why the story of social transformation, the story of growth, the story of transformation of the world in completely new areas of artificial intelligence, machine learning, web, cloudification, digitization, space technology, electric battery, mobility, storage, all these areas require huge rounds of disruption, and they will all come from you, and the lessons of all this must get into principles of startup, which must find a way into the main message of the leaders of the world. When the leaders of the world meet in India on 9th and 10th of September, they must be fueled by the dreams and visions of the startup group which is meeting here today. What you decide today, and I think to my mind this is the most important group, what you decide with your passion and energy must shape the world of tomorrow through the vision of the leaders of G20 on September 9th and 10th when they meet in India. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, sir. We have been blessed with many leaders of our nation who really wanted to speak to all of you, which of course speaks to the importance of the work that you do and all the excitement that's around it. We will now hear from our leaders who represent the people of India. First, we will hear from Mr. Som Prakash, Minister of State for Commerce and Industry. Welcome, sir.
Shri G. Kishan Reddy, Honorable Minister of Tourism and Culture, Shri Amitabh Kanti, G20 Sherpa, Shri Parmeshwaran Ji, Iyer Ji, CEO Niti Yog, delegates from different states, friends on the dais, and my friends from media. Good morning, namaskar. My greetings and welcome to all the participants of this Startup 20 Inception meeting. It's my pleasure to be here today with all of you at the Inception meeting of Startup 20 and engagement group under G20. The G20, as you all know, is one of the most important economic forums in the world today. And this year, in 2023, India has the presidency of the G20, and in the words of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi Ji, we will make sure this presidency is inclusive,
ambitious, decisive, and action-oriented. Startups have emerged as key driving economic growth and job creation, and often catalysts for radical innovation. In today's rapidly changing global environment, startups can quickly add to new market conditions. This has led to the evolution of global startup ecosystem where entrepreneurs all over the world can access funding, resources, and support to turn their ideas into successful businesses. The recent geopolitical transformations, learnings from pandemic and economic headwinds are the opportunity for businesses, especially the startups. During the COVID-19 pandemic crisis, startups have continued to play a critical role for economies. Large number of innovative firms have reacted fast and flexible to the pandemic and have been critical in helping many countries shift towards fully digital work education. The startup ecosystem is becoming increasingly globalized with the advent of technology. It is easier than ever for startups to reach customers around the world. This has led to the emergence of global startups which have disrupted traditional industries and have become household names in the countries around the world. India formally started its journey of startups with the introduction by Modi ji, Prime Minister of India, 2016. Today, we have more than 88,000 recognized startups with about 80 entries getting recognized in startups every day. India has the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. We can at least one recognized startup in every single state and union territory of the country. It is spread in Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities. It is spread across more than 66 districts, which is 80% districts of the country. Also around 47% of the recognized startups have at least one woman director. Our startups also played an important role in job creation and have reported to have created more than 90 lakh direct jobs. The spread and impact of startups across the country has been immense. Our Honorable Prime Minister said that golden era for startups in India has begun. He further said that startups should expand beyond the nation's boundaries and think global, which become the foundation for us to be thinking upon introduction a startup ecosystem focused engagement group under India G20 presidency. India has completed 75 years of independence in 2022, and just 25 years when India will celebrate 100 years of independence in 2047 are the Amrit Kaal of an auspicious period where we will strive towards achieving a rapid but inclusive sustainable economic growth by creating millions of jobs, improving our quality of living by introduction innovations to number of everyday things we do, creating wealth for our economies, our startup ecosystem has shown to the world its potential to be a major economic driver. Therefore, there cannot be a better time and a better forum to deliberate on collaborative measures for expansion of the startup ecosystem worldwide. I call upon you all to collaborate on this unique platform and create pathways, facilitate mechanism, and debate on key topics to orchestrate golden age of startups. I wish you all the best for the inception meeting and for the success of Startup 20. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. We will next hear from Sri G. Kishan Reddy ji, who is the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Development of the Northeastern region. I just want to underscore that the Northeastern region is where our next meeting in March is also going to be. Welcome to you, sir.
Sri Dr. Chintan Vaishnav ji, Chairman of G20 Startup 20. My colleague in the Government of India Ministry, Sri Som Prakash ji, and G20 Sherpa, our dynamic Sri Amitabh Kant ji, and Secretary Anurag Jain ji, CEO Niti Ayog Sri Parameshwaran A.N. ji, Government of Telangana Principal Secretary Sri Jayesh Ranjan ji, JS DP IIT Shruti Singh ji, and all the other dignitaries on the dais, esteemed delegates from the G20 nations, respected special invitees from the observer countries, representatives from various multilateral organizations, members of the global and Indian startup ecosystem, officers of the different ministries, Government of India and Government of Telangana, media friends, all the brothers and sisters. Just now, Mr. Anil Jain ji spoken on opening remarks that the spirit of Atithi Devo Bhava, an ancient Indian saying from our millennia old text that exalts one of the treat the guest as a divine. I would like to welcome you all to Hyderabad. Hyderabad is my birthplace, and also I am elected representative from this great city to my Indian Parliament. It is an honor to be here. You all at the inception meeting of the G20 Startup Engagement Group. India is proud to host the G20 that will be seeing. Friends, since ancient times, we share our ideas and knowledge systems freely to the world. Even today, across the world's many cultural and geographical divides, India's influences in the fields of mathematics, science, engineering, all documented and acknowledged globally. Therefore,
The theme of G20 chosen for the India's presidency, that is One Earth, One Family, One Future. It is inspired from our ancient philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbam, the world is one family. True to its theme, this G20 under India's presidency aims to set the course for acting responsibility, aiming for joint cooperation, achieving the sharing our successes. Friends, India is the ideal location for today's startup engagement group meeting. Today, India has a third highest number of unicorns, third highest number of the startups. Matter of the time before India leads to this list. Through these startups, our youth want to become a job creators instead of being a job holders. Indian startups are innovating with the groundbreaking, with the new ideas, investing their time and energies in transforming the future, inventing discovering new products and experiences. The success of Indian startups symbolizes the passion of our youth and our entrepreneurship. Progress made by India as a nation in the last 75 years and the priority of the government in encouraging and handholding startups with our large talent pool and our democratic dividend. India is an ideal investment location. Friends, in the last few years, we have witnessed several disturbances, including a once-in-a-century COVID-19 president's pandemic, a conflict that leading to political and economical turbulence. Countries in the neighborhood are facing turmoil and financial stress. However, India has been in a oasis of calm in the ocean of churn. India has been able to provide a predictable and stable regulatory environment, low political business risk. Our Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji leadership, we are moving forward in all sectors. As a result, foreign direct investments into India have increased 20-fold in last 20 years. The government has also ensured startup policies that will create an enabling environment. The government's Funds for Startups scheme was established in India. This has approximately $1 billion of investments in India. The government Startup India Seed and Scheme Startups has approved $60 million or 455 crores for 126 incubators. As a result of the efforts of India, individual improved 41 places in a short plan of time in 7 years, Global Innovation Index. Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji vision
for an aspirational India is truly inspirational. As we celebrate 75 years of India independence celebrations through Azad Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we are laying the foundation for India 2047 when coming 25 years India celebrates our 100 years of independence. We believe startups will drive India's GDP growth in the next 20 years. India has a potential to emerge as the third largest economy, and innovation will be one of our levers. Startup will play a key role in leveraging the 4 Ds that India is offering: a vibrant democracy, development for all with a Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, or Sabka Prayas. This is our Prime Minister mantra. Third one, digital public infrastructure such as a Atmanirbhar and Aadhaar, UPI, that the build at a population scale. Other one is decarbonization, opportunities in green hydrogen and renewable energy. India is poised to become a fintech destination hub. India innovation, especially in edutech, clean tech and agri-tech, will have a profound impact on global markets, lead to larger demand and utilization in domestic markets. Friends, as a Minister of Tourism and Culture, I invite you to explore these great destinations during your stay. After this 2 days conference, I request all the delegates to visit different destinations in India with the 40 plus UNESCO World Heritage Sites in India. Is a home of rich living cultural heritage that is many millennia old and includes monuments, temples, palaces, ports, unique wildlife, blue flag beaches, rich riverine and lake ecosystems, spiritual heritage, festivals, classical and folk dances, musical traditions, various art craft forms that includes textile and handlooms, handicrafts, languages and literary traditions in India. Friends, I would also invite startups to help textile and handloom, innovative handicrafts, languages and new ideas in preserving our rich cultural heritage, using new technologies such as artificial intelligence, virtual reality and augmented reality in providing a holistic experience to tourists. I wish to all a warm present stay in India, and I am confident that you will enjoy your stay and return over again with family and friends. Thank you very much once again. I invite the India and Hyderabad for this prestigious G20 startup meetings.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I wanted to underscore one more interesting fact here. Sir is the Minister of Tourism, Culture, and in the Indian context, I mentioned earlier several parts of the governments that are pushing our ecosystem forward. And in some ways, our collective, the phrase that captures our collective work is the promotion, it's in the promotion and nurturing of the culture of innovation and entrepreneurship, because it's very clear that unless there is a culture created, the outcomes that one is hoping for will not be there. This meeting is coming closer to an end, but it would be incomplete without listening from our Minister for Commerce and Industry, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Textile, Shri Piyush Goyal. Mr. Goyal has really been extremely active in connecting with every part of the ecosystem and has played a pivotal role in creating programs that ushers innovation into various industry sectors of our nation. He will be speaking to us via video. Can we have his video, please?
Good morning. My colleague ministers from the Union Council of Ministers, Shri Amitabh Khan, the G20 Sherpa, CEO Niti Ayog, the Chair of G20, Dr. Vaishnav, all the distinguished participants of this very important Startup 20 Inception meeting, friends in the media, ladies and gentlemen. Very warm welcome to all of you to incredible India, to the beautiful city of Hyderabad. As the host nation, India is proud to highlight the progress and potential of the global startup ecosystem. The Startup 20 Group has been established under our presidency for the very first time as part of our special focus on innovation. India has now entered the Amrit Kaal. For 25 years till we celebrate our centenary in 2037. During this period, we believe innovation will be the strongest pillar to help us make India a developed nation, a prosperous nation. In the next 25 years, as Prime Minister Modi has envisioned, we believe the country will be going from strength to strength. We'll be expanding the frontiers of knowledge of our young minds, and innovation will become the catalytic force for the economy and for social and public good. Innovation in today's world goes beyond economic activities. I think environment, sustainability, and inclusive growth are increasingly becoming more and more relevant. Innovation certainly implies novelty, but it is also rooted in tradition for us in India. Ancient scientific knowledge, our Vedas, our traditional medicine, are a testament to the innovative spirit that has existed in India since science in memory. We began our startup journey way back in 2016 when the Startup India initiative was launched by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. Since then, it has been a 7-year journey helping foster entrepreneurship and promoting newer and newer ideas, helping this ecosystem grow so that our startups in different areas, be it energy, be it financial inclusion, where fintech played a very important role, be it our fight against the pandemic during COVID-19, where remote healthcare and food delivery became very important, be it our effort on education, where online learning is today becoming very natural, be it our work in agri-tech, all of these put together have helped us face many challenges. Today, while the world is facing a multitude of difficulties, from climate change to poverty to inequality, I strongly believe that innovation will help us solve these problems, will help us work together to find solutions through the creativity and ingenuity of our entrepreneurs, taking on these challenges head on. In India, we have used digital public goods like Korean, like the United Payment Interface, UPI, ONDC, which is going to help us democratize e-commerce. All of these, for us, are means to tackle the problems and help inclusive growth. With over 500 million internet users in India today, we are one of the fastest growing markets for the digital world. We have huge participation from tier 2 and 3 cities who are swiftly embracing digital technologies, pushing us in remoter parts of India succeed with new ideas. I am confident going forward that India will provide the way to really take newer and newer initiatives to the common man so that our India side, which we have offered, can going forward become a global side and transform the way people use technology, will help transform economies from just using their base as an outsourced software and support service base to becoming a technology and innovation hub, particularly for the developing nations. Ladies and gentlemen, India is focused on innovation and in ease of doing business, which has helped us climb 41 ranks in the Global Innovation Index from 81 to 40th rank in just 7 years. We are nurturing the innovation spirit right from the school level through our Atal Innovation Mission. We have created tinkering labs at a workplace where our young minds can give shape to their ideas, to the can-do attitude that they develop ideas. We have very active programs to support startups with many other nations around the world, like the US, Australia, UK. We are working together to explore big tech startups and their growth to contribute to the circular economy and address needs of energy, healthcare, water, agriculture, education, financial inclusion, and the like. Today, individual nations alone will not be able to change the world. If we want to address global challenges, it will have to be the collective responsibility of all nations, and therefore this proposal to encourage a global effort to help incubate the startup ecosystem in other parts of the world, making them more inclusive, supportive, and sustainable. I am confident that the G20 will promote universal sense of oneness as per our theme, one earth, one family, one future. We need to create a network of such startups, and for that We need mentors, investors, entrepreneurs who can support and inspire one another, who can work as a team, facilitate exchange of ideas, best practices, and funding mechanisms to promote collaborations and encourage research and development. Friends, I was trying to look up what could explain what the startup ecosystem and what Startup 20 is going to reflect. And I thought we could use the word sense. S for share, E for explore, N for nurture, S for serve, and E for empower. And that is the sense I get when I see the enthusiasm in the room all around us. I get the sense of the changing mindset. I get the sense of urgency that we all have. I get the sense that Startup 20 is going to become a very powerful tool, a very powerful body which will change the way the world recognizes and respects startups. As the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi had said, and I quote, a small group of determined and like-minded people can change the course of history. I am confident that the discussions over the next 2 days will lay the foundation for a strong action agenda for the G20 leaders to deliberate and start a global startup revolution. Thank you very much for participation, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope the 2-day delegations will be very, very fruitful, engaging, outcome-oriented, and come up with new ideas which will help us truly make a difference to the future of startups across the world. Thank you very much. Namaste. All the very best.
You can understand why our young entrepreneurs love him. As we bring this session to a close, I'd like to invite my colleague, Joint Secretary Ms. Shruti Singh, for her closing remarks. But as she comes up, I want to tell you 2 things. Well, the first is that it was, of course, obligatory for us to give you the India backdrop and the collective consciousness of India as it stands when it comes to the startup ecosystem or the collective sense of India as it stands. And you've heard from all of our various levels of our governments and the other private sector leaders who are also on the dais you will hear from after the tea break. I also want to note note one more pivot that you will experience as we come back from the tea break. These sessions will get far more generative, bi-directional, and by the time we end tomorrow, they will get really, really noisy with all of you pitching in your ideas. So that's the plan ahead. With that, let me invite Shruti.
Thank you, Chintan. A very good morning to all my colleagues and all the friends who've traveled from across the world for participating in this inception meeting. I think your very presence here, it shows your commitment towards fostering a startup ecosystem which is inclusive, which is interconnected, and which is truly empowered. I think globally a lot of work has already been done by a lot of governments in various geographies to support innovation, to promote entrepreneurship. There's a lot of investment that has gone in, a lot of efforts have gone in. In India, we follow an whole of government approach. So all the departments, all the ministries, they come together, work together to achieve common objectives. I think it's high time now that we follow a whole of world approach to work together towards achieving common goals. And one such important goal today is to promote innovation and to support our young startups. The creation of this Startup 20 engagement group was envisaged keeping in mind that we must encourage the youth around the world to be able to innovate not just for their own country folks, but for the entire world. The Startup 20 Engagement Group is a very promising start for this cooperation and for mutual understanding on global startup ecosystems in both policy making and also action-oriented efforts. This group will open new frontiers of collaboration and it will deepen the role of the startup community in global policy-making regime. I would take this opportunity to thank our Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, for leading the team in realizing the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister and for seeding the very idea of forming the Startup 20 Engagement Group. I would also like to thank our Honorable Minister of Tourism, Culture and Development of Northeastern Region, Shri G. Kishan Reddy ji, and the Honorable Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Shri Som Prakash ji, for the gracious presence today and for sharing their thoughts and provoking very important messages for the group here today. My gratitude to the G20 Sherpa, Shri Amitabh Kanji, for his constant support and encouragement in institutionalizing this Startup 20 Engagement Group. I would also like to thank CEO Niti Ayog, Shri Parmeshwaram Iyer for his address and for enlightening us about the work done by the government to foster the startup ecosystem in India. As you are all aware, Startup 20 is a new engagement group which has been initiated this very year under India's G20 presidency. I must share that it was a whole team that was working very dedicatedly towards the creation of this group and to lay out the broad objectives of this Startup 20. And for this, I would want to thank our Secretary, VPIIT, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Anurag Jain sir, for all his efforts and for his support for the creation of this group. I'm sure that Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, the chair of Startup 20, will weave the sessions in a very engaging manner, and my best wishes to him and all the teams who will be supporting him for taking this further. All of this would not have been possible without the undeterred support of my colleagues at MEA, who ensured seamless multi-stakeholder discussions and coordination. I would also like to thank the state government of Telangana, particularly Shri Jayesh Ranjan sir and his team, for hosting and curating a number of immersive experiences that you'll all go through over the next few days. Today, with this inception meeting, we are indeed creating history and legacy. It is a matter of great privilege and pride for us for laying the foundation for collaboration at this unprecedented scale. Thank you all very much for your presence here and for your commitment to the Startup 20 Engagement Group. We look forward to a great journey together and my best wishes for the inception meeting. Thank you.
For the leaders on the dais, we'll take a group photo. So please say that, please. We'll take a 20-minute break and see you soon.
The meeting